Okay, so my name's Kerry, I'm 46. Currently a recovery support worker, so I work with people who have been through detox or about to go through detox. So I support them after the journey, looking at how their life's going to look once they leave service. But in my previous roles in CGL, I've been a healthcare caseworker. So I work with some of the really poorly people in addiction. Work with people who are end of life, had severe COPD, diabetes. I've been a health and wellbeing coordinator, and I started my journey off here as a service user rep, volunteering for this wonderful service. I have suffered with substance misuse pretty much my entire adult life. I started using substances at a really, really young age. I think I was 11 when I first started using substances. By the time I was 16, I was heavily addicted to heroin. I've had periods throughout my life of being what I thought was clean, so I just stopped using substances. Never really found anything to be recovered about. I'm a mum of 5 kids, so my kids were kind of brought up in and around substance misuse. And now I am not far off 5 years being completely abstinent. I devastated my family with my substance misuse. My children didn't directly know that I was using substances because I managed to hide it from them really well. So, you know, I used to think I was quite fortunate that my children had never seen me use drugs. However, even though I never used drugs in front of them, I used drugs consistently, hidden away in a bedroom that my children weren't allowed in. So for the most part, I wasn't present as a parent. You know, my eldest daughter, who's in her 20s now, spent from being 13 years of age raising her 4 younger siblings who all had additional needs. I've had social services involvement 3 times. Touch wood, I never lost my children to social services, but that's because I had, you know, a children's dad who was a really decent guy. It's destroyed the relationship I've had with my mum. I no longer have a relationship with my mum, in part because of my substance issues. I caused some real issues for my dad, because me and my dad have always been really close. And I stole, I suppose, what I took from my dad. I took his peace of mind. You know, he was never able to relax. He was always worried whether he'd get the phone call one day to say I was dead. You know, it affected friendships. Didn't hold friendships, couldn't have friendships, didn't want friendships. They got in the way of me using. So I was very, very lonely and very isolated. Even though I was married, I was still very lonely and isolated, because I was just locked in this world of waking up, using, trying to function as best as I can, and in that I kept everyone out. So when I arrived here, I was very alone, very lonely. I think the most damage I've done to a relationship is a relationship with myself. I lost who I was. Sometimes I wondered if I'd ever matured enough and grown enough as a youngster to become who I should have been, or whether that was lost to substance misuse at a very early age. So I find myself at 46 feeling emotions that I probably should have felt years ago. So it's all still, even though I've got a few years in, still feels a little bit brand new sometimes. Okay, so I came, it was in this building. I took some titration groups in this room in September 2017. I got a script to start with. I went on buprenorphine to start with. I was asked by my key worker consistently to come along to groups, and I wouldn't get involved. I felt really ashamed coming back into service, and I'd been in and out of services all my life. So I kept dismissing it, but by the January I decided I'll give it a go. I've got nothing to lose, and I did. And I remember being sat in this room, taking a couple of groups, and from then it kind of just went off, and I started to see other people around me going, oh, okay, if they can do that, then maybe I can. So my whole journey from start to finish, I think I referred myself in September 2017. By July 2018, I had pretty much done every group that was available, and I was off a prescription and clean. And then started my volunteering journey. So I just started off really helping out a bit in the cafe, because we used to do some days out on the recovery group. So at first it was like, I'll get involved in that, can I come along, can I help out? And then I got offered for CGL to help me train up as a smart group facilitator, which I did. But in the process of that, I spoke to our volunteer coordinator and was like, how do I get involved in this? I want to be part of the service. And I think that's normal for a lot of people to want to kind of give back to a service that had given something to them. So I ended up filling out a volunteering form and put myself forward for a service user rep. I'd like to say the rest is history, but it's really not, really isn't. And from there, I ended up getting involved in all kinds. I was like, it was a real big eye-opener, that for me, really big eye-opener. Not only did I get thrown into loads of training, but I also got to see what goes on behind the scenes of the service, which then deepened, I suppose, my commitment to the service. You know, I started off doing voluntary work as a service user rep, going to service user rep meetings, getting involved in all the forums. I even got to interview people as a service user rep, like some of the high up staff, you know, being sat there in front of these big high up staff with these massive managers thinking, I'm just a volunteer. I don't really belong here. But I loved it, and it was just fascinating getting to see how much work and how much passion goes into providing this service, that it deepened my resolve that I wanted to be involved a bit more than just volunteering, because I started volunteering probably to keep myself out of trouble, to give myself something to do, and then it just went on from there. I've now been employed by CGL for 4 years. I believe through a combination of groups and other things I did that this service saved my life. When I come into service, I was on my own. My kids had been removed from me. My husband had left. My family wasn't having anything to do with me. And I remember the man who done my assessment and the care and the love he showed me. Remember my key worker, for the first 6 months of seeing my key worker, I'd done nothing but cry like a baby. He'd come in and he'd go, hi Kerry, and I'd go, ah! And it was like that for 6 months. And they were able to hold space for me and allow me to feel safe so I could come forward and open up. And that was a really special, very unique thing. A gift that was given to me in that moment that I didn't know I needed and I didn't know I could get. So when the opportunity became, it was a really simple thing of absolutely, why not? Why not? If I can give someone just a slither of what was given to me on that day, then that'll fill me up for the rest of my life.